We get to watch NFL football games in less than a week, regular season football games, that is, in less than a week. And I don't know about you, but it seems like the off season has been too long. It seems like it's been two off seasons in one. Nonetheless, I have multiple projects on my list that I have to clean up or at least try to address. I just didn't get to. And for me, this is one of them. One of my favorite things to do is watch film of nickel safeties because it's such a unique position. Now, I think Kyle Hamilton and Brian Branch are just safeties. They are two of the players I enjoy watching film of the most because they can pretty much play anywhere and they're devastating at multiple locations. I understand that Branch is going to play more in the back end as a safety this year by design, but both of them are just damn near nuclear as a nickel safety. Hamilton's 23, Branch is 22, and they're both just do everything chess pieces for the Ravens and the Lions. Me personally, I've been blessed enough to be able to watch every game of their pro careers at this point. And number one, they're very alike in a lot of ways in that they impact the game across. There's a width of their impact, and there's depth of their impact as well. Meaning they do a lot of things well, but they do them extremely well. There's many players who do 5 or 6 different things well, but not all of them at an incredibly high level. These two guys do everything at a high level. I wanted to do this video in the offseason, like I said, but I ran out of time. Ravens open up Thursday Night Football against the Chiefs, and then the Lions host the Rams in a playoff rematch on Sunday night. I'm going to get right into the film here, and we're going to start with something fun, I think, but also illuminating. It's how they're used to attack as a blitzer. Now, it's not just their physical traits here, and both of their physical traits are considerable. They're potentially devastating blitzers every time they line up at the nickel position, but it's their ability to read and adjust on the run. So while they're moving forward, they're navigating whether it's a run or a pass. Now, in some of these situations, it's 3rd and 8. You know that it's a pass play, but both of these guys can adjust on the run and read and react damn near perfectly. This is Hamilton's game-opening pick 6 against the Browns. It's a ridiculous play. It looks like something you see a guy make in college or high school who's just that much more talented than everyone else. And Kyle Hamilton has the ability to do these things at the NFL level. It's really a huge blessing for the Ravens defense, for their roster and their franchise that you can have. And look, the tight end is open here, David Njoku. They're trying to get Marcus Williams down into the flats. He's going to be a little bit late. You're going to have to tackle Njoku out in open space. So it's not just the fact that he gets a pick 6. It's the fact that he gets a pick 6 on a play that could theoretically have had Njoku break a tackle by Marcus Williams and be out in space with one of our other DBs, in this case, Brandon Stevens. The Ravens love this, what I call glitch blitz. Hamilton blitzes off the edge. Sometimes it's Arthur Millette and others. But what they've done here is they've successfully overloaded one side of the field pre-snap and forced the Colts offensive line to adjust. So what we're talking about is the nose and then these 3 guys here to this side versus the nose and then 2 players to the left-hand side of the defense. So they're forcing the offensive line to account for the potential blitzers here. And then what happens on the snap is both of the D tackles, Pierce and Madubuike, end up dropping out. And so they've forced the right tackle to account for the edge rusher, Jadeveon Clowney. And there's no one to block Hamilton because he's away from the running back. Free rush off the edge, and his acceleration and ability to finish is almost like an edge defender. And he's actually got moves like a frontline player. I didn't show film here in this from his rookie year when he successfully swam an NFL right guard. Probably should have went and found that one, but Hamilton as a blitzer can change the game, as you see. Unfortunately for the Ravens, they did not recover that fumble. And then the ability to adjust on the run. I'll let this one flow through multiple times. This is a 1st and 10. So it's a run or a pass down. Hamilton gets a tackle for loss. The way he's able to bend down here, I mean, you practice this. Don't get me wrong, there's drills where you practice this stuff. But you do have multiple aspects here in terms of the running back downhill on an F counter scheme or the quarterback potentially booting off of it. If Hamilton's wrong, then you have the quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, out in space. He's got great eyes. Some would say anticipation. I think he's also great at reading on the run. So what I mean is, I think he's great at seeing some of these pullers. Now, maybe not the guard, seeing some of these pullers while he's blitzing on the run, and he knows that it's run. He's not guessing. He's not anticipating. He knows that it's a run play because those guys are leading away. If it was a boot concept, generally the quarterback isn't going to be booting away from a pulling F or H back, in this case tight end, and pulling left guard. Branch is really no different in his ability to dominate at times as a nickel blitzer. One thing to note about him is when he contacts the quarterback, it's like a bomb going off. I mean, he really, I believe Branch has even said before that he fashions himself a linebacker. I don't know if he played linebacker in high school, but he hits like one. And when I say hits like one, I mean he down there hits like an NFL linebacker. Now, some of these are, quote, defenseless quarterbacks, so Branch has got to be careful about where he contacts them. I feel like he's really smart and accurate in terms of making contact with the upper body and not the helmet. The next one is a little less clear on that, maybe more of a gray area because he's chopping down with his hands. This is a 3rd and 7 against Minnesota. Week 16, they actually beat the Vikings twice in the span of 3 weeks. And the clubbing nature of it is extremely violent, first of all. Second of all, his ability to adjust here. You've got the right tackle and the fullback out on the edge. And then watch this little move that Branch does to get in the correct gap. Just deftly sidestepping them, running past the right tackle. And then his closing speed, both him and Hamilton, their closing speed, I think, is exceptional, even at the NFL level. Goes down as a sack, I believe, and a forced fumble. And you can't blame NFL quarterbacks for scouting and understanding how big the hits are with Brian Branch. In this case, Matt Stafford's trying to target Cooper Kupp. Little fade route back in the back corner of the end zone. And Branch and Anzalone are both on a blitz. So it's 2-on-1 with the running back. The running back chose Anzalone to the inside, try to give Stafford that little bit extra time, 0.1 seconds to be able to throw the ball. And great timing, somewhat similar to Hamilton with the pick six against the Browns, only this time he's literally right at Stafford's hands, taking it off of his right hand as Stafford releases the football. Not sure that there's a chance that Cooper Kupp's actually going to catch this back in the corner of the end zone, so it's not completely similar to Hamilton's pick six, whereby Njoku's going to catch the ball and get yards. I don't believe that this one's going to be completed on a 3rd and goal, so I think it's going to end up being a field goal anyway. But Branch gives his team an opportunity for an interception on the play, even though it didn't turn out that way. This section of plays is going to focus on their ability to get involved in stopping the run game, even though, to be honest with you, in the case of Branch and Hamilton, there's going to be multiple plays whereby it's a screen or something out to the perimeter, but they're attacking downhill. That's what I'm trying to point out here. They're attacking downhill as a read, not a predetermined blitz. When I say that Branch fashions himself an inside linebacker, I mean, look at the speed at which he's coming downhill. Look at the differential between how much ground he's gained between him, Anzalone, and Barnes. Now, he did line up closer, but the point is he's able to attack and get here before the combo blocks are able to, one of them is able to peel off and pick him up. He's faster. He's into the hole faster than what those guys expected as an offensive line. He played a whale of a game against the Atlanta Falcons that week. This one, I think, gives you an idea of not just his burst and recognition, but his range. There's going to be a missed tackle here. I think it's Jerry Jacobs and Aleem McNeil missing the tackle. And then it's against Algier again. And then look how far back Branch is. You said there's no way that he's going to get involved in this play. Well, Algier ends up bouncing it outside. And when Branch tackles him, it only ends up being a 3 or a 4 yard gain. It's a play, if you ask me, that shows the closing speed and the commitment to his angle. Algier is on an inside track right now. But Branch, at no point in time was Branch veering off in here and possibly giving up all of this space. He understands what his responsibility is and stays on that path. And then he's strong enough to finish the tackle. And look, Algier is a bowling ball. He's a difficult guy to tackle. He plays the nickel Sam, I would call it, meaning in a nickel defense, 4-2-5. sometimes you need a fifth lineman or you need another outside linebacker. So this is a nickel front by the Lions. There's your 4 down lineman, and Brian Branch is playing the Sam. He's playing the Sam linebacker, generally to the tight end side, to the strong side. You can see that the tight end has shifted and gone the other way. This is a odd front because you have a nose tackle and a 0. You got a 4-eye, tight 9 technique, and then this is a 9 technique. Is what Brian Branch is playing. Ifeatu Melifonwu is going to fill to the inside gap there and be first contact, and then Branch finishes him off. The nickel Sam is a guy who can play up on the line of scrimmage against 11 personnel and pretty much 11 personnel only, but also can play nickel defender out in space and then drop back and play half field safety, which we'll show you a little bit of later in this video. Finally, this is obviously not a run play. It's going to be a swing pass out into the flats to Kyle Pitts, and it's the recognition and the ability to finish off tackles that sets him apart. He's a complete package, if you ask me. That's what makes him fun to watch. Neither Ravens fans nor Lions fans should be offended that I compare these two to each other because I've made the comparison multiple times in both of my videos. This is against the Chargers, and this is a brutally physical play and take on by Kyle Hamilton against Keenan Allen. Goes down as a run play because Herbert handed it off from behind, and Hamilton's basically just running through the face of one of the more physical and physically gifted and strong receivers in the NFL, and that's Keenan Allen. You can see he's bent him completely back. Even though Hamilton's pad level is higher, he's just so physical and strong. He's able to run through Keenan Allen trying to get the proper position by sinking his hips and getting his cleats into the ground, but he just couldn't hold off Hamilton. It ends up being a loss of 2 yards. He squeezes in behind the blocking scheme here against the Seahawks, Week 9. I think it does go down as a 4-yard gain. You get the end zone angle of this one. Watch how now it's a dime defense, nickel defense by the Ravens. So you have a 9 technique, 2 defensive ends, another outside linebacker / 9 technique, and then 2 inside linebackers. So you're talking about a 4-2 in the box, and you've got 7 gaps there and only 6 players to account for them. So you need someone to deal with that 7th gap at times against the run. And in this case, it's Kyle Hamilton. It's the gap inside the tight end that the running back is trying to veer back into. Ravens, I think, are playing a little bit of a game with their defensive tackles here. Stunting Jones across, and then they're trying to get Broderick Washington to fold over the top. Both of them have incredible range when they're playing downhill and side to side, sideline to sideline, horizontal. This is going to be a screen out to the left to Jaylen Warren, who gave the Ravens trouble last year. He's just a really difficult guy to tackle, and multiple players made contact with him, and he would bounce off, not Kyle Hamilton. You can see what they've set up. It's a 4-on-4, so we're taking everything down here and ignoring it just for a moment. You got 4 Ravens defenders, and you've got 3 blockers for the Steelers, and then Jaylen Warren, who caught the football out on the perimeter. Hamilton sneaks by Washington, the really huge tight end for the Steelers, and is able to make first contact. It ends up being a loss of 1. Now let's go over their skills in coverage. I picked 7 plays for each player. In some cases, you get both angle views because I think I'm trying to make you appreciate it as much as I do. Both of them have the ability to play up near the line of scrimmage and cover people in man, play as a back-end safety, and you'll see examples of them, both of them making plays at all 3 levels. This is Hamilton on a 2nd and long against the Chargers in Week 12, covering, I think it's Guyton, 15. Number 1, Justin Herbert threw the football, so he believed that he would have an opportunity to complete it. You're talking about covering from the line of scrimmage here, like almost like a man press corner would be. Now he makes contact. Both of these guys are great at making contact while they're running, but not making too much contact, such that now Brian Branch was called for more contact downfield, or illegal contact, I should say, than Kyle Hamilton was in 2023. He's a physical guy. He's committed to being physical. Hamilton is as well. I don't think he gets the credit or the reputation for that, but pre-snap communication between him and the far side safety, so he was just communicating to the far side safety here. and then the physical ability to run with Guyton, a wide receiver. He's got hands on him now, you can see. Stay on outside leverage as much as he can. And then I believe that Kyle Hamilton and Marcus Williams were both given credit for passes defensed on the same play, which is very unique and unusual in my experience. You don't see that statistical designation given to two players on the same pass that's deflected. I really have I have not seen a safety defend this stuff like this in the 3 years that I've been trying to break down the game of NFL football. The over concept, flood, whatever you want to call it. It's flood from the opposite side. I guess some people call it Yankee if you want. But you've got a vertical route down here, an over concept from the far side, and in this case, a tight end who's going to work to the flat. So it ends up kind of like flood, except it's from the opposite side. And watch Hamilton stay underneath of the route. He recognized in the middle of the play that this guy has someone to cover him. And so he turned and looked for the route from the opposite side that he knew was coming. He took it away. Now look, C.J. Stroud ends up scrambling for, I believe it's 5 yards here on a 2nd and 5, or I think it's maybe 4, so it creates a 3rd and 1. But nonetheless, Hamilton took away the more dangerous play. He took away the route that is most often the one targeted on these deep over concepts, which is this one right here. I haven't seen another safety defend it like that and be able to potentially help out with this route first and then recognize, oh, that's already covered, someone's dealing with that. Let me veer off and get rid of what is in reality the most dangerous portion of this route, even though it looks like you got a comeback developing here at the bottom side of the screen. What's normally targeted is that over route that originates from the opposite side of the field. Some reps against the Bengals here. He's playing Mike linebacker, essentially, in a Tampa 2. Now, you may not know, in his rookie year, he actually played some dime linebacker. This is a 3rd and 8. You can see Burrow is off the field at this point. He gets there a little bit early to challenge Tyler Boyd. But what I like about it is he's lining up at nickel defender to the outside first, and you have a mug look by the Ravens. And then he's going to skip to the inside. Roquan Smith deftly exchange roles so Roquan can get to the hash or the hook area, and then Kyle Hamilton can take the middle of the field. I mean, they've done a fabulous job of slowing down the processing of Bengals quarterbacks under Mike McDonald. It'll be a challenge in 2024 for them to continue to do that under Zach Orr. I don't see any reason why they can't. I'm sure that Zach Orr will keep as much of the same system in place as possible. Too high safety alignment here down in the red zone against the Jags in Week 15. This does go down as a pass defense. By the way, I'll let it flow through one more time. Even though Calvin Ridley ends up with the ball in his hands, it ends up being tipped first, and then Ridley can't control it right at the back of the end zone. It's a brilliant play by Hamilton because he's got two routes that he's trying to deal with. First, he's got this route by 14, moving to the middle of the field, and then Ridley late to his outside shoulder. So Trevor Lawrence is actually reading him, and Hamilton is able to turn and take away the vertical route, trying to throw it over the top of him. He's just got too much range. His arms are too long, and he's got too much ability to react. This one, you may find unbelievable. I do. This is him guarding Jamar Chase on an out route from a too-high safety alignment. Roquan Smith, pre-snap, seems to be arguing with himself or maybe arguing with Patrick Queen or someone else trying to make a check. I'll show you this one multiple times. Chase on an out route. And Hamilton is going to be able to play that route from an off alignment and get a pass defensed. He doesn't get beat on one cut. What I mean by that is one move, a route that doesn't move twice, what most people call a double move. He just does not get beat on. Hamilton is like a guy who hits fastballs really, really hard. You just don't throw them to him. He's off screen here, and you can see Roquan is arguing with someone. Burrow's ball maybe could have been a little bit more towards the sideline, but nonetheless, Hamilton is all over Chase And again, might be there a split second early, but it's a brilliant play to get a pass defense against a guy that, has beaten dozens of NFL defenders on these types of routes and routes up the sideline. Moving on to Branch and his ability to cover from the line of scrimmage. I tried to structure these in a similar manner, to be honest with you, in terms of the progression. Week 1 against the Chiefs, he's on a vertical concept, totally blankets the route. Again, does a great job of making contact with the receiver throughout the play, just such that he moves him off his path. And NFL receivers are not used to that. They certainly don't enjoy it, number one. Number two, the rule set has pretty much removed that from defenders' tool set. And I think Branch is one of those guys that's going to keep it in his tool set come hell or high water. This is an interception, week 16, guarding Jordan Addison. I like the little switch in leverage that he does right in the middle of the field. He's trying to be on the top side of Addison, and then I think because he understands where his help is, meaning here, where his help is, he's going to jump to the underneath of Addison and let Addison flow over the top. And then that allows him to have a great angle on the interception. The ball, possibly underthrown as well, but high points it, perfect timing. By the way, this is a 4th and 2. He nearly had an interception on the first possession of the game when the Vikings ended up getting a touchdown. Covering Cooper Kupp on a 3rd and 12 in the playoff game. If you don't know, the Rams design a lot of things to try to get Cooper Kupp open, to try to give him space. And in this case, it's a 3rd and 12. Branch is able to stay with him. He's got the speed to stay with NFL wide receivers. He's got the strength to be able to take on blockers, finish at the quarterback with explosive athletic ability. Hits Kupp in stride. Not only does Branch make the tackle, he almost forces a fumble here, trying to punch the ball out of Kupp's hands. An excellent example of his awareness in zone. He's the nickel defender to the bottom side of the screen. It's a cover 2. And once he sees the number 2 receiver release outside of him, he knows that there's safety help over the top. So he's got flat help to the outside. He's going to turn and deal with the tight end number 3. This is a 3rd and 4, and he ends up getting a pass defense here. That was not ruled a fumble. It was ruled incomplete because Branch broke on the football and was able to knock it loose, jar it loose from, I believe it's Troutman. All I know is he's a tight end. Great timing on the challenge. You're talking about one of the more physical players in the league, in my opinion, at the nickel/safety position. He's got unbelievable recognition in the middle of the play. Nothing here from a statistical designation. This is just Branch recognizing the route combinations. He ends up being the flat defender. So I would say you probably have quarter, half here. He's letting Puka Nacua release to the inside of the coverage and then pick up the out. And you can see that is exactly where Stafford is looking. He's hoping that Branch or the nickel defender will peel off with Puka Nacua, but instead Branch lets him release to the inside of the coverage and then breaks to the flat. Stafford has to hold on to the football. Direct correlation, if you ask me, probably half a dozen times last year where quarterbacks are reading Brian Branch and he's got the expertise and awareness to let one route go and then break onto a second route such that the quarterback recognizes, I can't throw the ball there. It's potentially a pick 6 or some other negative result. And so the quarterback holds onto the ball and gets sacked. Finally, pushing out to the flats on what I would call a wrong read. It's a play action concept. He gets underneath of the route by Kyle Pitts. Yeah, Desmond Ridder makes perhaps an ill-advised throw. But it's the technique that Branch uses. Once he recognizes the ball has not been given to the opposite side, watch him turn his back and get to his area of responsibility. And then have the wherewithal to be able to high touch the ball and get a deflection. It's a beautiful play, I think, and I remember seeing this play live time and thinking to myself, this is a very unique player. One of the people in my Ravens Discord, Stacy Van Diver, talked about Brian Branch during the draft and how he wanted the Ravens to draft him. And I won't say I didn't see it, but I thought, well, we already have Kyle Hamilton. It sure would have been nice to have both these guys on the field at the same time, and you can to be able to deploy one to the right and one to the left would be just filthy rich at the safety slash nickel position. Both of these guys are very versatile. They're supposed to play more on the back end this year in 2024, particularly in the case of Branch. Hamilton, really did last year anyway. But that will be interesting to see, if you ask me, because I personally think they are absolute studs at the nickel position. And there comes a time where you want to put your greatest talent at the position or the location on the field where they can have the biggest impact. And there are still times where I think for both of these guys, that is the nickel position because they're just so damn good at it. It was a lot of fun to try to produce this video for you guys. I think Hamilton being a All-Pro last year was absolutely the right designation. I was shocked that Brian Branch wasn't mentioned as a Pro Bowler. I think he was 4th or 5th in the Defensive Rookie of the Year voting. I guess the only reason why he didn't receive a Pro Bowl designation was because he missed some games with injury. But nonetheless, these are two guys that are my favorite to watch across the NFL, at least on the defensive side of the football, because of the widespread nature of their impact and then the depth of their talent at each of the techniques that they're asked to do. You guys have to let me know if you enjoyed the video, first of all. Second of all, if you like the way that I structured it, meaning sequence of plays with Hamilton, sequence of plays with Branch. I thought about alternating and showing similar techniques. Branch covering man-to-man, Hamilton covering man-to-man. Branch as a third-level safety, Hamilton as a third-level safety. I thought about doing that and staggering it, but I thought maybe that would be a little bit too staccato in terms of rhythm. So let me know what you think of the way I structured it. If you think other Ravens fans or Lions fans would enjoy this video, this film study look at two young safeties. Again, both guys are under 24 years old. Then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.